Part 3. So I'm back at the cavern, and it's Lysandra, Maze, Jing, and myself. And his recruitment was actually, it was a few weeks ago, so probably closer to a month ago, actually. So Lysandra could tell immediately that something's wrong. She walks over, kind of places her hands on my face, like, and she looks like she's examining me. And I just kind of like look a little sad. I'm like, it happened again. And she's like, okay, okay. She's like, so what do you remember? And as we're going back and forth, Maze is kind of shocked. He's like, wait. He's like, this is the thing you were telling me about? He's like, the memory thing? It's like, and I'm like, yeah. And I was like, he's like, man, he's like, we were just in the middle of a conversation. It really comes on suddenly. So like Sandra's asking, like, what do I remember? I was like, okay, I remember recruiting you about a month ago. And Jing, I remember you owed me money. And Jing was like, get out of here. And I just kind of laughed. And like Sandra snatched her hands away. I was like, glad you find this funny, Sage. It's like, well, I don't find it funny, but you got to do what you can to keep from crying. So, we start going over some things that have been happening in the time that I'm missing with my memory. Like Sandra and Dawn, not like Sandra and Dawn. Dawn and Rain have gone back to their home system, where their planets Wave and Cora are there to help with relations. Rain's from Wave, Dawn's from Cora. Those planets were at war with each other. Whole stuff there. I'll go into it another day. But basically, they're going in to help with those relations. So, also, the planet's been having, or the cavern's been having more and more issues because of the planet, because of everything that's been going on with the mining and stuff like that. That's been getting worse. And also, Lysandra told me that it's been about 4 or 5 years since Amanra pulled us out of the underworld. That's going back to around the time of the headshot. So now I have a solid time frame for the big chunk of time I'm missing. So we continue to discuss Camilla's recruitment, because while she did say no, she gave terms. Her terms were, if you break my friends Button and Fritz out of prison, I'll come in. So the story is that they're being wrongfully detained. They're children, and we're going to break them out of this detention facility, and that's where Jing comes in. So Maze and Jing decide to basically go off so that Maze can debrief Jing about all the relevant details about Button and Fritz. So then I end up speaking with Lysandra, and I can remember that she's been having issues as it relates to the underworld. Like, she's actually been seeing somebody in the cavern about that, like, kind of like PTSD kind of stuff, and actually more than that, even stuff that's been going on with her arm. Like, so I think it's like a combination of PTSD and maybe some stuff with like power related stuff too. So I apologize, and we start talking, and she's really concerned, and she's talking about how we have to figure out a way to not just live with this, and we really need to work the problem. So while we're talking, I probably, for her, a little out of nowhere, I asked her about Kashma, because from Sage's perspective, it's not been that long since like Kashma's been relevant for him. It's been years ago for them maybe, but not for me. So I was asking her like what happened to Kashma, and she was like, what's the last thing you remember? And I explained how, we came here, Amanra detained her almost immediately, and explained how they took control of me and implanted the feelings for me to love her and stuff like that. And she talked about how she would work a spell to where my true feelings would kind of emerge, and the false stuff would go away. But it never changed. All of these years later, and I still love her. So she was like, all right, come with me. And I'm kind of like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, come with me, and I'm going to take you to see her. And I was like, okay. So I'm nervous. Like, I'm nervous for a bunch of reasons. It's been a long time since I've seen her. Where do we stand? Has the cavern been mistreating her? All kinds of stuff are running through my mind. Fear, anxiety, a little excitement, all kinds of stuff. So we're traveling. We walk through the 16 points, which is like the main hall area. And we're walking down the hall, and this guy is like flying up towards me, like long hair guy, long tan duster, tan pants. He's got white bandages all over his face. And he flies up to me, and I can't really react to him, and he grabs my head, and I'm somewhere else.